Hello, everyone. It's Leah Love, and I am actually sitting in the car, and I am waiting for my daughter to get through with state testing. So we had to come here, and I've just been enjoying this beautiful park and reflecting on some things. And I realized that I actually have not been on YouTube in forever. And, I decided to just go ahead and jump on here. So, excuse the lighting. I don't have any of my gear with me or anything like that. So, this is really, really impromptu. But just a little bit about what's been going on. I have started my girls in a new homeschool program. And, it's been challenging in the sense that it's very intense. It's a lot of work that's required, more so than the other programs that we were in. And to be honest, I tend to think that they have more work than those who are in public schools, because this is a K-12 program, but it's from home. And it just feels like they just have so much more work that they have to cover. And doing it in a totally different way, which is not being in the classroom, not having the teacher there. So I, as the parent, am their teacher. And I have to be very, very present with them throughout the day. I have to approve all of their completed assignments and pass them along to the teacher. And so it literally is a full-time job. Like, literally, you're the teacher. Clearly, I understand being a homeschooling mom that I'm the teacher, but this is just a whole nother level of intensity. But you know what? I would never have it any other way unless I could put them in a private school. And we're just not able to do that right now because of all of the other things that we are kind of taking care of right now financially, and getting out of debt and all of that. So it's going really, really well. Really paid down a lot. I also have my home in Atlanta is now an Airbnb. So that's also really challenging. It's fun, but it's challenging managing, managing the house and the customers and customer service and whatnot. So it's definitely a full day, like I said. But one of the things that's really become critically urgent for me right now is the fact that just looking at what's going on in the world out here, just the way in which this whole issue of socialization for children, for me, that's always the main question when people ask, why are you homeschooling? And, yes, I wanted not only for them to have total indoctrination, I guess I should say, for lack of a better word, for so many hours a day without me being present. I wanted to instill my family values into the children for a lot longer period of time, because I found that what was happening was with my older children, when they went through public school, I felt like I was having to undo, like on a daily basis, the things that they were learning while out at school, and it was really tough. It was really, really tough. And these days I feel that with so much oversexualization of everything, just about, with so many things that are happening in various people's homes, and they bring that stuff to school. I'm sorry for the bad lighting, you guys. Like I said, I'm in the car. I feel like it's so hard for them to have a fighting chance sometimes with just the extreme inundation of ridiculousness. I was talking with my new daughter, my husband's daughter, the other day, and she was saying how in the schools now that, the children are just like going through their whole gender issue. And I've been under a rock because I didn't know that there was all this stuff going on about gender. Like, literally, I don't watch the news, and that's a purposeful choice for me. I'm very careful about the information I take in. I figure if it's something I've got to know about, my husband will let me know, friends will let me know, or I'll maybe see a snippet on Facebook or something, but I don't just sit and consume mindlessly the news. And so when she told me that at her school, one day this girl, says she's a boy, and then the next day, oh no, now I'm a girl again. And then she gets upset with people, like if you forgot which gender she was that day. And it's just like a whole mess. And I was just like flabbergasted because I just didn't even know to have that conversation with them about what they're experiencing in the school on a regular day. And just so many different things she was enlightening me on. And I was like, I can't believe when I was 15, like 5,000 years ago, I mean, the stuff that they're dealing with now, I would never had to deal with these. I'd never had those things come into question. And it's just a lot. And the reason why it's really, really important, because I do hold traditional values, and sometimes it's difficult to hear it today because I spent many years being very liberal and very, just being in the victim role all the time. Like there was just always something to complain about. And I found that really colored my life choices. It made my life a whole lot harder because I was at war with everything and everyone, hypersensitive, and couldn't have a conversation on certain topics without just like blowing up. And I have to admit that's where I was as an individual. And I realized that those so-called liberal values or leftist values weren't values at all, because everything was changeable. Everything just kept, every new thing that's flying in the wind, it's a new cause every other day. And it does not lead for a happy life. I just have to be honest, because I was choosing people to relate with in terms of relationships based on their belief systems. And I do that now, but I have found that, for instance, it is of great value to me that my husband and I both agree on gender roles, meaning male and female. And we both agree that, when you have children, especially with the way things are going today, that it's best, if you want to hold on to certain values, and if you can possibly do it, to homeschool your children. And that means that one parent needs to be home. And so also when we look at the relationship between men and women, I've done it before where I worked all full time. In fact, my ex did not work. I was the one working. And that was draining. It was exhausting. It was an absolutely ridiculous situation. But I didn't respect gender roles. I didn't expect that having to do that made me lose respect for him. Because best believe that once I got home and he was watching the children, that he still expected me to do all the house stuff too. Like, it wasn't about, oh, this is 50-50 thing, or, oh, we switch roles. No, I was still doing the cleaning and vast majority of the cooking, taking care of the children. He felt like he was off duty as soon as I stepped in the door. And yet he was paying no bills. He was not being the man in the house. And so I started resenting him. I did not respect him anymore after, time went on, and I just got more and more exhausted and drained. And that's when I realized, you know what, this is for the birds. This whole liberal thing that, you know, women can do it all and be it all, you know, that you can be the breadwinner, you can be the mom, you can be the, you know, the cleaner and the cooker and the laundry person and the chauffeur, and that you can just do it all. And granted, yes, single mothers have to do it all. And I was a single mother for a while before I met my current husband. And so I know the struggle. So it's not like I am, you know, placing blame on people or, you know, denigrating a certain group of demographic of women who, by virtue of what's happened, are single mothers. I've been there and done that. And that also was very exhausting and draining for me. But I'm just really glad that I took some time to heal for like 7 years. I really worked on myself, and I really began to establish a new mind, a new train of thought, just in terms of what do I really want out of life? Do I really want to keep struggling like this? Do I really want to be super mom? Do I really want to, you know, have my children, you know, go to public school if I can afford to homeschool them? Fortunately, even as a single mom, I had a stay-at-home job, so I was still able to homeschool and, you know, take care of what I needed to financially. But that really colored my own ideas in terms of courtship and dating. Once I realized, what is it that I really want? Do I want this whole stressful lifestyle? And I said, absolutely not. And because I decided on that, that then, you know, informed me in terms of the type of man that I needed to look for. And I knew that I wanted a traditional family-oriented man who comes from a family culture and who values feminine qualities in a woman, who values a woman who values her femininity, and who understands that she needs time to be feminine, and she needs a life that supports that. And he understood that, you know, as a man, that understanding or knowing that I value healthy masculinity, that I'm not at war with men, that was very important for him, because he did not want to live in a house where he's warring with a woman, where there's like a war of the sexes, you know what I mean? And so in doing that, we were able to come together, you know, symbiotically, and really create a blended family life that involves me not working, me being able to be there for the children, be the nurturing center for all of the children, be able to cook and do all of these things that he was having to do by himself after his previous divorce. So that lifted a load off of him, because, you know, when he has his children, you know, he would have to do it all: the cooking, the cleaning, keeping the house clean, working the full time. And, you know, he tends to be the one who's doing all the extracurricular activities with them. And so he was definitely doing the single dad life. And so now that gives him a load off, that I'm able to take over those duties and just allow him to just focus on work. And then, of course, you know, the family activities when we do things, because he does really love family time, and that's really, really important to him also. So for me, things are working out beautifully. And lastly, I just wanted to share that, you know, as I went through my own transformation and, you know, moving more towards conservative values, I realized just how much time I would like to put into my girls, especially in a world that's teaching them hoe is life, and, you know, all of these various lifestyles that they end up getting caught. You know, not valuing marriage, not even knowing how to adequately select a good man, not even being in a space where, you know, they value themselves so much that they are not going to get out there and, you know, just start sleeping with every guy that asks them to, just because they feel a lack of love in their own life, or they're afraid of losing these guys out here, and them understanding the consequences of that so often is, you know, unwanted pregnancies. I do not want them out here thinking that abortion is a form of birth control and that they can just have multiple abortions before they settle down. Again, no, it's no disrespect for anyone else who has gone through that. I've never had one. But what I am saying is that I tend to see young girls coming up, in their teens or tweens, even just thinking that that's a way of life because that's what they see. That's the social media that they ingest on a daily basis. And I just think it's wrong. I think it sets women up. I think the feminist movement, especially the fourth wave, is really, it's not being honest with girls. It's not being honest and letting them know that, yeah, you can have all of these ideologies out there, but it doesn't lead to a good life. It's not like these girls are any happier warring with any and everything all the time. Like being at war all the time is not it's not a happy life. It's not conducive for life. And quite often, I've even heard it said on a video I was listening to where a woman placed a comment on a YouTube channel that she said, she's in her 50s, she's single, she's never had kids, and she regrets having followed ideologies that didn't serve her well, that claimed that she was going to have a better life, and yet she hasn't. She's alone. And I don't think that that movement is being very honest with women to say, be a full, well-rounded woman. I'm not saying women shouldn't be voting. I'm not saying, women shouldn't have, equality in the workplace. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the, just tearing down the masculine, like making men to be evil, and just having a problem with pretty much everything else in life. And you can go places and do things, and then it's you have no responsibility for it. This whole consent thing, it's a little bit slippery, and I just don't want my girls caught up in that. Now, is that to say that after I do my best to raise them, to put the extra time into them, to explain, take it all the way to the end, in terms of if you're going to follow this ideology, typically what happens is this. Do you want that? Well, no, we don't. Well, then, think about things before you start taking on ideologies. If you're going to be out here and say you want to be married one day, but yet you've been ingesting the last 7 years of anti-men commentary, all men are dogs, all men cheat, men are sexist, they're pigs, no, you can't open the door for me because that's like stepping on my rights. Like, how do they expect to get out there and now go find a good man when they've got nothing but war going on in their own hearts towards men? And so that's the best way to find a not good man, because you attract what you focus on the most. And so I want them to have a more wholesome, more, well-rounded view of the world that I don't think that they can get without some extra attention and time. So that's pretty much like what's on my heart right now, because I want better for my girls. I would love for them not to have to go through what I went through. Not to say they might not get out here and still just do whatever, but at least I can say that I did my best. I did my utmost best. And I don't feel I was able to do my best like with my older children because I was so busy being the man in the household that I could not devote the time that I wanted to with them. And also I was just so darn unhappy and stressed out and tired that it just is a lot. It's a lot. And I still value motherhood. I don't think it's a cop-out. I think it is like the most important job ever. And I feel like we need to have the time to put into doing what we can, the best that we can. And, I definitely feel for women who are in the situation that I was in before as a single mom. But that's why I made very serious decisions about the type of men that I started to date once I started dating. And I got very, very clear on what I wanted. And we just don't teach that anymore. It's like we tend to hate emotions, and yet we do everything emotionally based. Rather than infusing some logic in areas of love and courtship and dating. Like, it's crazy how blind a lot of times we are because nobody taught us how to date properly, how to deal with proper courtship, how to, make a detailed list of the traits you want in a man, and then also ensure that that man understands your values and takes you seriously, which means, not sleeping with him on the first date. It's just a way of going about getting that respect. And I was able to achieve success from that, and that's what I want to teach my girls. So anyway, you guys, I'm not going to promise anything in terms of regularity with this vlog, but I definitely am going to endeavor to come on a bit more and just talk about these topics, because I just think that there's not as many voices out here speaking about it, and I know a lot more women are getting interested in it. And I'm so sorry again for like the awkwardness of this, because I'm in the car and the phone is moving around and whatnot. I didn't even bring a tripod with me. I totally didn't expect to do this video, and I'm out here sweating in the car. So but thank you all so much for following me and for listening to me, and a few of you have shared it, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.